Hi everyone, Gallery and Studio Manager Christina here. We are back with another episode of ArtSmarts. This video series is geared towards artists to help you make sense of some of the trickier parts of the art world and navigating some of those hurdles that you may face. Today's episode is going to be all about making prints of your artwork. So it's going to be geared a little bit towards the 2D folks, but those of you working in 3D, tune in. Never a bad thing to brush up on some of this knowledge in case it's ever something you might need in the future. So let's jump in. Today's topic is all about getting prints of your artwork made, and for that I'm happy to be joined by Jake Hawley. He's the owner of Picture Salon here in Madison. Jake, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Could you start out by telling me a little bit about Picture Salon and how you got involved?
Yeah, so Picture Salon's a fine art printing company. We've been around for roughly 15 to 16 years. It was started by my parents. And about 3 years ago, I came into the picture. I had worked for them when I was younger in high school, and came back with the goal of taking over when they retired. Okay. And last year, I officially purchased the business, and we've been running it the same as they did, and we're just looking to give you some information to help people out and learn more about the printing process.
Great.
So we do all archival inks, and that's very important. It's called Giclee, and so Giclee is simply, it's kind of a made-up word that was made in the 80s, and it basically means, it talks about the actual process of the print being made, and it's to spray. Okay. And it talks about the printers spraying the ink onto the paper. Okay. And so it kind of gets tossed around loosely. A lot of people will say it's the Giclee because they're using an inkjet printer, and technically they're not lying to you. But what you really want to make sure is that the inks that they use are archival. Okay. And pigmented, and also that the paper is archival, so it won't yellow over time.
You mentioned archival and archival inks and archival paper. Can you explain a little bit about what makes those things archival?
Yeah, so archival inks are, there's several different types, but basically you want to be looking for a pigmented ink. The actual ink is going to have physical pigments in it that are resistant to fading. And then okay. On the flip side of that, the paper, it's most of the time the fine art papers are 100% cotton rag, and those don't have any optical brighteners in them. So what that means is if someone uses an optical brightener and bleach, right? So that lightens things up. Okay. If you used a process like that on a paper to make it really, really white, that will degrade the paper over time. And although it starts off as white, in a year from now, it might have a yellow tone to it. And then 5 years down the road, that might get worse. And okay. Sun and other environmental factors can quicken that process up. So you want to make sure that it's an archival paper without any of those optical brighteners.
Okay, great. Can you tell me a little bit about the process of a print being made, like a little bit of a timeline of where you start and where it ends?
Yeah, so typically I'll bring in an original work and we'll do the digital capture for them, or they will already have a digital file created, either by themselves or a photographer locally. And once we have a digital file, then the first thing we do is we convert it to 300 DPI. That's really important to make sure that the resolution is proper. A lot of times we'll get files sent in at 72 DPI or 96, and you basically want the best quality starting point possible, because then you have a lot more possibilities. Right. If you're starting off at a disadvantage, it's very hard to get a really nice final product.
Sure.
Yeah, so once we get a digital file, then we look over everything, make sure there's no obvious imperfections like low resolution, pixelation. It's not too dark, there's not shadows. There's quite a bit that kind of goes into making sure it's going to make a good print. Mm-hmm. And once the everything has been kind of looked over, then we go ahead and print on the substrate that the individual customer has chosen. We have several different fine art papers, photo papers, and then canvas as well.
Okay, great. If an artist is, looking to start the process of getting their prints made, what would you recommend is something that they look for when they're meeting with a print shop or a printer that they should look for, or maybe, if there's any red flags in the process that they should be aware of up front?
So obviously, price is something that everyone wants to find, the cheapest price to make it more profitable. But there's definitely a fine line with that. If I'm seeing something that's really, really low prices, I might be nervous about that it's not an archival process and
Sure.
it's a cheaper process that, at first glance still looks pretty good, but might not last. And when it's archival, it should be lasting for 70 plus years. The other thing you want to look at is making sure that they don't just print anything they get. So oftentimes people will upload a file to our website that's really poor quality and they'll want it really, really big. And we always reach out and say, hi, this is unfortunately, too large of a size for this file. Do you happen to have a better quality capture, things like that? And, we're proud of what we put out. We don't want to put anything out that isn't to our standards or that the artist is going to be disappointed with or their collector will be disappointed with. So if the company is just printing everything they get and, if your file might be questionable and they never reach out to you, that would be kind of a red flag to me.
Sure, yeah. So let's say an artist is all set to get to work with you and they want to get started. What are some things that they should be prepared to either bring with them or talk about with you and decide?
So the first step is, again, creating or having a digital file of your artwork. If you have a really good starting point, we can reproduce the prints quite large and very accurate in color to your original. Other than that, most of our business is online. Even for local people, they will still come in, but mainly they'll come in to pick stuff up or to drop off originals that we'll be doing the captures for.
Okay.
So yeah, mainly once you have a digital file created, that's kind of all you really need. You need to have a loose idea of what kind of size you want, and what's very important also is how you envision the piece being hung and displayed by the end consumer. So if you're wanting it to be matted, then you are going to want most likely a border around it to secure to the mat. And just kind of envision how it's going to be displayed. That's kind of a really important thing that a lot of people kind of step over. They're excited to make the print. They're excited that someone's interested in purchasing it, but then they don't really think long term on how that's going to be displayed. Okay. And you need a border unless you want the mat to be eating into some of your image. So it kind of depends on personal preference and then also the image itself.
Okay. And you mentioned people could bring their original artwork into you to have that digital file created. That's something you guys can do on site?
Yeah, so that's actually quite a large part of our business. As you may know, or some of the artists listening may know, you can take a picture or a scan of an original, and it may look nice on your phone, but that's because it has a nice bright backlit screen. And typically, I would say 95% of the time, you do need to do some color correcting to that file to make sure that it is an accurate representation of your original.
Sure.
A lot of times cameras tend to kind of put like a muddy looking dark filter over things, and colors aren't as bright, whites aren't as white as they should be. And when we have the original in front of us and we're creating the digital file, we will, what we like to do a match proof, where we print off series of strips of the image on the substrate that they chose. So whether it be archival paper watercolor paper, canvas, or photo paper, we print it off on the end paper that they've chosen, and then make sure that the colors match up to the original. Sometimes, the reds are a little bit off, but the blues are perfect, and then, you need to adjust it as necessary. And that can sometimes take, only a few adjustments, and other times that can take, 6, 7 series of proofs to get it right on. Okay. And that's something that, like I said, we really specialize in doing. We have proper lighting, and that's kind of the most important part. If you don't have proper lighting, you're already starting off at a disadvantage. Most of household lighting is in the 2,000 to 3,000 Kelvin range, which is the temperature of the light. That's kind of a warm yellow color, and it's nice on the eyes, but in terms of an accurate representation of color, it's quite poor. You want to be finding a light bulb, if you're doing it at home, between the 5,000 and 6,000 Kelvin range. Okay. And so that's going to be a much more accurate representation of natural daylight. And if you don't have access to that, you can also do the captures outside on a nice day. But again, you don't want direct sunlight. You would kind of want to be in a lightly shaded area. What would be your size required, like for if someone wanted to bring in an original? Do you have a limit on how big you can go for originals? No. So the biggest that we've done that I can recall is about 8 feet by 13 feet. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was quite large. And that brings up another good point. Even for something smaller, let's say 12 by 12. When we do the capture, a 12 by 12 would probably be 4 different photographs of different sections of the painting, and then all spliced together to create one file. And that way you are getting the camera closer and you're getting a better resolution. So something like a 3 foot by 3 foot, that's going to be upwards of like 15 to 18 pictures all put together. And instead of stepping further back to take that picture where you can get it all in one frame, now you're not starting off again, like we talked about, at a very good starting point. You want to really get all of the details captured in your photograph. Okay, that makes sense. I never thought about doing it that way, but that makes sense. Yeah, and then programs like Photoshop, they have an automated feature where it's called Photo Merge, where you can open up, all the different pictures that you have of your one original, and as long as there's enough overlap, so you want if you took 3 pictures across and 3 pictures down for a total of 9, you would want some overlap in each of the pictures, so the program knows where things are supposed to go, and it does quite a good job putting them all together. And then there's just a few tweaks to get everything square and nice, but that's definitely the best suggestion I can give, is to take multiple smaller photographs of your original, or bring it to you, or bring it to us. Yep. And then when something comes in, like I said, we do the match proof, so we guarantee we can get it as close as it's going to get, and oftentimes you really can't tell a difference in color. And I think that's really important for a lot of artists, is making sure their colors are accurate, because you put a lot of time and effort in making that original, and you don't want a print to just be a cheap knockoff. You really want it to have the intent of the original. Once you guys put all that work and you have that file done, I'm assuming, are you able to keep that file? So if they want to reorder prints down the road, you don't have to do this process more than once? Correct. So we keep all the files on a secure server, and anytime they'd like to place another order in their online account, they can log on, they can see the files that are there, they can pick which one they want, change their size or do the same size, and go from there. So it's a pretty quick reordering process once you have it decided. Correct. Yep. Yeah. And occasionally, we'll get a call from 10 years ago, someone who's kind of retired and they're not doing it so much. They lost their file, their computer, the hard drive went bad and they don't have a digital file anymore. And, we'll find it and we'll send it to them. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened, and people are so amazed that we still have it. But you never know when someone's going to come back, and you don't want to start that whole process again, because it's, like I said, it's hard to get that original at a good quality. So
Yeah, and it's nice to know that once you make your decision, then you don't really have to have brain space and think about it. Like it's
yeah,
saved, it's already going to be decided for you. You're all set to go then.
yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
The one thing I will say is, depending on the printer, so let's say you had a print done with us and then years down the road went to a different printing company, I would always suggest getting like a test print or a proof done, because different printers, different ink sets, different monitor settings, and a whole bunch of other slight changes can slightly change how that will look. So
Okay.
we can guarantee ours will look the same every single time, but I can't say that that file we created for you would print well on a printer that you purchased yourself. There might have. It's a tough time for everyone, being kind of cooped up. And
Yeah.
the one silver lining of it is, it gives us time to be creative and work on things that we had in progress, and work
Mm-hmm.
on new originals and finish things up. So I anticipate a lot of people, coming in with new paintings when this is all said and done and we're allowed to go back outside. So it will be interesting to see if that is the case. But I kind of have a feeling a lot of people are being creative right now and getting some work in.
All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jake Hawley of Picture Salon, located in Madison, Wisconsin. And picturesalon.com, they can find you guys there.
Yep.
Website.
Or email us at info@Picture Salon, or if you want to give us a call, it's 888-833-1102.
Well, the short answer is maybe. It kind of depends on you and your comfort levels. Making your own prints requires a pretty high level of comfort with technology and investment in materials. You're going to need things like a DSLR camera to take high-res images. I would strongly recommend against using your phone to take images for this process, or a large format scanner. You'll have to light and set up your artwork appropriately. You'll have to use things like Photoshop to edit afterwards, because no photo is going to be exactly perfect. And then you'll also need to invest in lots of different types of paper to test out to see what finishes you like and recommend. So it may seem like the cheaper option to do it yourself, but by the time you invest in all the materials, it can take a lot more than people expect it to. The other thing to consider is long-term storage of your records. So let's say you found a paper that you really liked and you found the file, but you named it Final Artwork X. If you want to reorder prints down the road, are you going to know where that file was? Are you going to remember what kind of paper you used or what finish it was? The nice thing about a print shop is they just keep all that information, and it's kind of out of your sight, out of your brain. So something to keep in mind if you want to print your own. The kind of in-between option, if you want to pursue this, is ordering prints online. You still have to get a high-resolution image of your artwork. So what we talked about before, maybe FedEx or Kinko's could be a good option for you, or working with a local photographer. You can approach online printers and ask them to send you paper samples. Some will do this for free, some you have to buy a little kit, but then you can see like a physical version of the paper that you might use, and you can pick out your favorite. You will then, once you pick your paper, you can on the website choose your finish, choose the size, and then complete it like you're ordering anything else online, have it shipped to you. One thing to note when you're ordering prints online is are you going to order a Giclee or are you going to order a photo print? And the main difference between those two things is the paper finish. Photo prints tend to be just slightly less quality in terms of paper. They can also have a really high gloss to them depending on what paper you choose. And photo prints are often not archival. So the inks could fade over time, depends on kind of what quality you're looking for. Giclee is going to be the long-term higher quality option. All right, so here's a couple of resources for you. I will put direct links for these in the video descriptions below as well. But Picture Salon is a family-owned print shop located right in Madison, Wisconsin. They are a fantastic company whom I enthusiastically recommend if you want an in-person print shop. They do a great job. Several artists I know have worked with them and have had a great experience. So Picture Salon. Giclee Today is an online print ordering company. They do great work, very affordable, lots of good information on their website. iPrintFromHome is another online print ordering option. Primarily they work in photo prints, but they are more affordable. They are also a father-daughter family-owned company that I like to recommend. All right, that's it, guys. What'd you think? Any questions? Anything I went too fast on? Anything I didn't cover? Let me know what you think, and I'd be happy to address anything else. Otherwise, happy printing.